You are listening to the Hey Kids Comics Radio Show, broadcast through the facilities of Trent Radio on 92.7 CFFF-FM in Peterborough, Canada.
Hey kids!
Look, up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's dance off, bro! Me and you!
Hello and welcome to Hey Kids Comics. I'm Dan Collins.
Hey there, this is Martin Bruda.
Chris Gilpin.
I'm Adam Bishop.
I'm Chris Ellis.
I'm the Hey Kids Comics Desperado.
I'm Batman.
Who's a villain in Captain Canuck? What does he do? Taking our maple syrup, eh?
I'm gonna chuck my hockey puck in my beer bottle at you. Take off, you hoser.
Gwenpool. I mean, Spider-Gwen, the whole heat and stuff. This is gonna be worth a few bucks. And nobody wanted it.
The biggest bane to my existence right now is S.H.I.E.L.D. number 9.
When you're trying to come up with an offensive movie that you want to reclaim, it's time to segue into the next porn comic segment, Adam.
How can you not have seen Airplane? What are you guys, young?
I talked to him directly, so I got a mass order. So I have like a good 5-inch stack inside my comic box.
Yeah, right on.
That's below average.
Hulk! Smash!
Hey there, welcome to Hey Kids Comics. I'm one of your hosts, Dan Collins. With me I have
Martin Bruda.
And Chris Gilpin.
How's it going today, guys? Excellent.
It's just wonderful.
Not for me.
So we're gonna not for you.
No, it's been over 24 hours since I had my last Diet Pepsi in my.
Oh my God.
I've had this wicked headache all day, and I'm blaming that on the withdrawal.
You absolutely should. I kicked caffeine 2 or 3 times in my life, and the headaches were just brutal each time.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
I'm ahead of you guys. I've never kicked caffeine. So
there you go. I'm not kicking it now.
Caffeine. Yes, you and your Hortons. It's not the caffeine, it was more the aspartame that people were worrying about. So
now, have you tried that Zevia soda? They sell it at the shop down the street from you. Planet Fitness, Planet Hollywood, Planet.
Oh no,
Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood. No, the Bulk Barn sells.
Bulk Barn sells it. Yeah. That's the one. But they also sell it in. Bad. They also sell it in cases at. Come on, help me out here. Martin Peterson used to work there.
Yeah, Healthy Planet.
Healthy Planet.
Yeah.
So you can get. I don't know what they were, 18 packs, 12 packs, 6 packs in there as well. Same brand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly same brand. I didn't mind it. It was okay.
Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it, but yeah, I didn't mind them.
Yeah. Just switch to bubblies. Everybody's switching to bubblies.
Yeah.
So what they don't tell you is what they're flavored with.
Well, do we want to know?
No, there's some kind of weird chemical listed on the package or something like this, and it's supposed to be just equally as weird. And it's like, so what are we drinking here?
Yeah.
At least stevia is a leaf, right?
Yes.
So at least stevia is a leaf. Anyways, as we talk on the
I was going to say,
soda show,
this is a great segue because we're talking about being healthy, and our topic today is running. See, I'm trying to segue.
You're doing great.
Our topic today is runs of comics.
Yeah.
that
are great, that we enjoy. So that's an Adam Bishop style stretch of a segue.
It works.
So we're talking about our favorite runs in comics. Now, I guess I'll go first with the first run that I have prepared, since this was my idea to come up with some runs. So my first run that I've prepared would be the Grant Morrison run on Batman. That starts with Batman and Son. Back in 2007, it starts with issue 655 of Batman. And then it ends, for the purposes of this conversation, I was going to say around like the Batman RIP arc, but it actually goes on way beyond that with Dick Grayson as Robin when they're doing Batman and Robin. And then they have Bruce Wayne come back as Batman. So this run went on for like 3 or 4 years, I think, of Grant Morrison writing Batman comics. And this run started, this is actually what got me excited for comics. One of the two things. The other thing that got me excited is my next run. But these two runs were what got me excited for comics back in like 2008. I was a little late to this run, didn't get it as it was coming out. I actually started collecting single issues again for the Batman and Robin series when that started after RIP ended and Final Crisis ended, and Batman was dead and lost in time or whatever. But Grant Morrison, I feel like of all the great writers, Grant Morrison is one that we haven't talked about a lot. We talk about him here and there, but never a lot. And he's sorry?
I have some strong opinions about Grant.
You have some strong opinions. Oh,
can you
that's
imagine?
A shock.
That's a shock.
I'm shocked.
What issues did that cover? Like what did that restart?
So this 655 was when he started.
Good.
Yeah.
And sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I picked up the 3 Grant Morrison Batman omnibuses, omnibuses, and the first one does start with Batman 655. So I wasn't sure if I had that run or part of that or not in there.
Yeah,
I know I got the original issues for sure, but I was just kind of curious if it's in that omnibus.
Yeah, and so this starts with the introduction of Damian, right? Because he's introduced in here. And this is to me a great run. I love how in the second part, there's multiple parts. The second part of the run after Batman and Son was the Black Glove storyline, where they introduce the International Club of Heroes, which are a bunch of different heroes. Some of them, I think they're like actual heroes from the 50s, 60s, 70s that he pulled out and brought together for this, like out of obscurity, and he killed some of them off, did some other stuff with them, but I thought that was really cool. And then the whole run, like 25, 30 issues leading up to the RIP storyline, where he brings back some of the characters. He has all this stuff tie in that you thought wasn't part of the story, just random bits. All of a sudden it all comes back to this like great story. I'm pretty sure I've said it on the show 2 or 3 times over the past 4 or 5 years that RIP is one of my favorite Batman stories. And so it still is. I still read it on a regular basis, probably like once a year I read that story. After looking at these comics, I'm planning to start at Batman and Son and reread this whole thing through, because it's been a while and it is, to me, just a great Batman run. It's also a great run because it's the detective Batman. It's not action hero Superman Batman. He's trying to figure out a mystery over the course of these. And, that's something that often gets forgotten about, that Batman's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, not just an action hero.
Yeah. It was a great run. It definitely was really good.
He had some great artists backing him up too on that run.
Yeah, he had Tony Daniel did a lot of the art, and J.H. Williams III did some of the art on the Black Glove storyline. And Tony Daniel is a great artist. He's got, but it's very, his art is what you would expect for a comic book. Like if you say comic book art, Tony Daniel is what comes to mind. But I love like some of the weird art, like J.H. Williams does, a little more stylized art. Yeah. And I like that as well.
Yeah. Did Jim Lee do some of the covers for that run? Or is that before or after?
I don't know.
I know he did Hush before.
Oh, maybe
yeah,
that's
he had done Hush before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Jim's name on any of these volumes that I have here, so it doesn't look like he had contributed anything to these. So Marty, what are your strong opinions on Grant Morrison?
Okay. So let's get into it. We know that I have moral issues with Alan Moore.
Yes.
He wrote some great stuff. He can take a original story that he found somewhere else and rework it like crazy, and does a great job of it. You know, he's good at dialogue and stuff like this. But to me, anyways, the best British import that came over, other than Neil Gaiman, that's a whole different, totally story, different category, is Grant Morrison. I love Grant Morrison stuff. Like, he's just fantastic. You know, it just, everything that I've ever read of his has just been great. Sure, lately he's a little bit more out there, like the Green Lantern run that he did there. I'm sure Chris will agree was a little bit out there.
Yeah,
but I mean, Grant Morrison.
I actually stopped reading Green Lantern because of that run.
Yeah, but like you said, this Batman take of his was fantastic. You know, when he did Doom Patrol, stuff like that. Like, I personally love it. It's literally here on the page. It says Grant Morrison was one of the greatest storytellers of his generation. I completely agree.
So your strong opinion is a good strong opinion.
Yeah.
See, I assumed it was a bad strong opinion.
Yeah, I just playing it up for jokes.
That was clickbait.
That was clickbait.
That's right. Yeah.
But no, I dig his stuff. I really do. Now, every so often, like, you know, his Doom Patrol run and this Green Lantern run, I'm not saying he's under the influence of pharmaceuticals, but I'm also not saying he's under the influence of pharmaceuticals. You know, there's some trippy stories there for sure, but like I really super dug when don't worry about it, I'll be okay. I'm just brain farting here like my green screen. Dick Grayson takes over as Robin, and Dick and his dynamic with Damian. That was fantastic. That was just fantastic storytelling. I could have been happy with Bruce Wayne never coming back if those two were headlining the book forever. You know? I love Batman, my favorite character. The comic book I've read the most of for sure in my entire life is Batman stories, but it was just fantastic. I loved it. It was really good.
Honestly, I haven't read since. Like, I read right up until they brought Bruce back, and then I kind of was like, this was good, and I stopped reading.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it was good. And if they could have just let that dynamic keep going and had something fresh, because it lasted for so long too. Like, it was like 30 issues before, well, maybe not that much, but it was like 15 issues, I think, before they finally brought Bruce back, and they had already established Damian as a great character, and Dick, as you said, like, you know, he had his very similar take to Bruce on Batman, but different enough that it's not just him pretending to be Batman.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't just the same character, just a different name. Like, the Dick did approach the being Batman completely differently.
And he also had his interactions with the characters in the world of Batman, because he already has relationships with all these characters that are different than Bruce's. He's not going to have, you know, Selena Kyle flirting with him because that's what she did with Bruce or whatever, you know? So he had different relationships and brought a different dynamic to all these personal relationships. And it was really good. And
if I recall correctly, was there not a scene with Commissioner Gordon where Commissioner Gordon was like, okay, I know you're Robin. Like, like, I'm not dumb. And I know you're Robin in the costume. Like, immediately knew it was not Dick Grayson per se, but immediately knew it was the first Robin in the costume. And I'm like,
I remember that.
Yeah, you don't become chief of police. You don't become the police commissioner without having some skills. Yeah. So I thought that was a nice little, you know.
And good writing too, you know, like to put this in instead of just having everybody be like, oh, nothing's changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He acknowledged it, and there was a little bit of a wink and a nudge. And away they went. So I thought that was really good.
But you're right, Grant is very out there, you know, especially in his non-superhero work too. Like, I've got some of his other stuff, like Sea Guy, that
Sea
is
Guy's
just
fun.
the first time I read Sea Guy, I was just like, what just happened? I literally finished it. I finished it and just sat there with my head in my hands going like, I don't even know what happened in this thing, because I read the whole thing. I have the trade. I read the whole thing in like 10 minutes, 3 issues in like 10 minutes. And I was just like, I don't even know, man.
Yeah.
So I would like to read more Grant Morrison stuff that is non-superhero, but I would also like to read, like, I don't know, because he has written The Flash too, has he not?
I think a little bit, yeah. But if you really want some good Grant Morrison stories, and it is superhero, but it isn't. It's kind of like how Doom Patrol switched from being a book about, the original X-Men to being this trippy book, is Animal Man, his run on Animal Man.
Yeah.
When he relaunched Animal Man, like, yeah, the guy's in a costume, but it's really not a superhero book. So that one's really good.
Yeah, I remembered when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that he did this. Did he also wrote the Invincibles? Did he
did the
not?
Invincibles?
Yes.
Yep.
I haven't read that. I think I bought my brother a giant omnibus, so I'll have to get my brother to let me borrow that.
Yeah, the Invincibles.
Yeah.
He did the Invincibles. He did they made what was his name? They made a TV show about it on Netflix a few years ago. The guy who talks to the stuffed teddy bears. The teddy bears come to life. Happy. Yeah. He wrote that too for Image. That was trippy. That was absolute bonkers.
Wasn't the actor from Law and Order?
Yeah. Whatever
Chris
his name
Maloney
is. Yeah, Chris Maloney. That's right. Milani. But he sees the magical invisible best friends of kids, and he can actually see them. They're real. And in the TV show, it was just wild. I mean, not for kids at all, but it was pretty good. Yeah, I like him.
Morrison did Jupiter's Legacy too, right? Did he not?
I'm not sure. Was that Mark Miller?
Yeah, it's
Mark Miller. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. No, it's Mark Miller.
But like he's writing Superman and the Authority right now. So infamously, Superman is no longer Superman. His son is. So John Kent is the main Superman character. But Superman gets involved with the Authority and becomes sort of like a sort of the Batman to that team, and almost gets like a Batman-like persona where he's kind of like a gruff, tough guy. And I'm really looking forward to that coming out in trade paperback so I can read it. I passed on the singles and I'm waiting for the trade because that looks good.
When it hits Dollarama, buy me a copy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that he did write, which is one of my favorite Justice League stories ever, is he did Justice League Earth 2. Earth 3 miniseries that got turned into a graphic novel, that got turned into a book. But that was really good. It's about Ultraman and Owlman and that sort of stuff. That was really good.
The Crime Syndicate?
Frank Quietly did the art. Just great. Fantastic. And of course, infamously, the two of them did New X-Men, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the New X-Men, yes.
And that's a series I never read any of the New X-Men. So
yeah, I might now have to go and look for his Animal Man stuff.
Yeah,
I am not on Amazon right now. That's some other guy.
That's some other guy. Who's
Guy.
currently filling his cart with Animal Man trade paperbacks.
Animal Man by Grant Morrison, 30th anniversary deluxe edition, book 1, $39.99. Book 2, $44.93. Yeah, that's happening.
When was the Animal Man series from? Like, was that the 90s?
Shoot, I have no idea. That's a trick question. It could have been the late 80s.
I was gonna say I thought it might have been the late 80s.
Give me a second here to figure
maybe
out.
Early 90s.
Mike's Amazing World of DC. Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Oh yeah, they changed it because he now has more than just
more than just DC. How dare he?
Have you ever been there, Mike's Amazing World?
No.
Oh,
Never heard of it.
Just look it up. Mike's Amazing World of Comics. It is the definitive encyclopedia of comic books. So it says right here, Animal Man from DC Vertigo, issues 1 to 89, 1988 to 1995. So the first one was 88. And the first one is written by Grant Morrison, Chaz Trug. The other really cool thing about this website is it tells you not only the cover date, but the actual on sale date. And they use a bunch of different methods of trying to find out what day it actually hit. So if you were saving up your dime so you can go back in time and pick up a few Action Comics #1, you don't want to miss it by a few months going by cover date. So you go to Mike's, you find out exactly when it's showing up, get there a week ahead of time.
Bring your CGC rep to get the verified signature.
Yeah, from the newsprint guy, I guess. Yeah, actually, I bet you could like pick up a copy of it in New York, walk down to the DC offices, knock on the door.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, can Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sign this for me? That'd be great. And they probably like, you want a tour, kid? Here's a cigar.
You want a job here?
Oh, no guff, eh? Talk about stepping on butterflies. Whatever happened to recluse comic book creator Martin Bruda?
He was only published from 1942 to 1944 before mysteriously disappearing off the face of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Known to wear shoe boxes on his tissue boxes on his feet and curse at street vendors. Yeah, that was a good series for sure. For sure. How about you, Chris? What's one of your favorite runs?
It's got to be, well, let me tell a little story. It's when I first started really collecting comics. I decided, okay, I got to start with something that's #1. And X Factor was issue 8 or 9. So I was able to go back and get to #1. So I started reading that. And then the Fall of the Mutants hit. And I jumped over to the X-Men and the New Mutants. But the X-Men run with Claremont in the Outback has got to be my, like, I just love it. Like, just everything that happened with the Gateway and the Reavers, just the fact that I guess Longshot was on the team too, because he's an Arthur Adams character, but the team was great. I mean, it was a great team too. So just everything about that run, I couldn't wait to read the next issue.
Yeah. I started reading X-Men just a few years before that. When it was the cover was The Brood.
Yep.
That'd be Claremont and Mark Silvestri for sure. So like maybe 5-10 a year before they ended up in Australia. That was my first introduction to X-Men at all. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is what everybody's been talking about all these years. This is fantastic. This is amazing. And I loved it just the same as you did. Like all the characters and Rogue and Dazzler and stuff in the team and Gateway with his little. I fully agree. It was probably going to be one of my selections, but I decided to go a little bit different. But yeah, that was fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I was hooked as an X-Men fan right from there.
Yeah.
Just reading the story and how they sacrificed themselves at the end, and then they were brought back, but nobody could see them on film. Nobody could record them on camera or film.
Oh yeah, who did that? Who was responsible for that?
I can't even remember her name.
Was it Jean Grey or somebody?
No, it was somebody different, somebody not regular in the series. I'd have to go back and look it up now.
It wasn't Scarlet Witch.
No. Now
I'm waiting because in all the reprints that have ever been done, the Marvel Masterworks, the Marvel not Archives, that's DC, Masterworks, Marvel Masterworks, they're missing a bunch of issues right then when I started.
Hmm.
It's almost like it's like Inferno and whatever else came before it and stuff like this. And there's a bunch of issues in between those two storylines. So that storyline has been collected. That storyline's been collected, but there was no reason to publish those few. But
a couple standalones.
Apparently there's an omnibus coming out. It's called X-Men Inferno Prelude. And it's going to have those missing issues onward. And it's been canceled and resolicited a couple of times, but it's supposed to come out like really soon. So I'm like, oh, I got to get that because that was my X-Men period. And I want to reread all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I recollected those issues. I've had them 3 times now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just recently sold them. Again.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to go back and read those.
Yes.
That
was awesome. The Marauders and everything.
Yeah, Marauders. Yeah. No, wait. That Marauders were the ones that from. What was the other story?
Yeah, not the Marauders. Reavers.
Reavers. Yeah.
The Reavers, because that's where they moved into, right? The Reavers' old base in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I really want that omnibus to come out. It's like, why is it not here now?
Yeah. Jubilee was introduced during that storyline. Yeah.
And I love Havoc and Polaris
Mm-hmm.
as characters. Like I just really, really like them. And Havoc was part of that team at the time, and Colossus is freaking awesome. I love Colossus. He was like one of the first characters I fell in love with the X-Men. I'm just like, this is fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they told a little more stories about Longshot, more about his powers, what he could actually do. And then they found the hoard of treasures that the Reavers had stolen. And part of Longshot's powers, when he touched something, he could see like the history of it. And they started to return stuff that the Reavers had stolen because of Longshot's ability to do that. So it was, expanding on his characters a bit.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I try not to compare that run to the X-Men of today. I don't know. They're just not. I've tried this to restart the X-Men so many times. It's just not the same.
It isn't. They're definitely missing some magic there. I mean, it was just really good books. Like there was some great X-Men books since. Like I did enjoy New X-Men. Stuff like that, but it just kind of it's just too complicated.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan Hickman came in and it's like, oh, I'm gonna reimagine the whole mythos and stuff like this, and that's great. I mean, that's what you need. Like, you gotta rejuvenate the characters every once in a while, create new storylines. You can't just tell the same stories over and over again. But it just got really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like
too many issues, too many stories.
Captain Krakatoa.
Yeah.
What's Captain Krakatoa? Or is it Krakoa?
I don't know. It's the island somehow.
I think you hit it on the head though. It's too many issues. Back then it was Uncanny X-Men. Here's your book. Easy to follow, easy to read. And then they came out with, here's an X Factor telling the tales of the original 4 X-Men. Okay, that's simple enough too. You can pick and choose. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, here's the adjectiveless X-Men. And then here's the astonishing X-Men. And here's, to the point where now we got like, what is it? The Marauders, X-Men Gold,
Excalibur.
Blue, Green, Yellow.
Yeah.
Excalibur,
Well,
I always put Excalibur slightly out of that outlier because the original Excalibur series was really unique in its own.
Yeah.
And had the British flair to it. It had the British characters and stuff. And I kind of liked having that spin-off for a while.
Yeah,
but,
and that came right out of Fall of the Mutants, right?
Yeah.
They were what was left, Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler.
But then all of a sudden it just got too much.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed the artwork too, though. Alan Davis. I liked his artwork.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
I went two different ways. One is pure nostalgia. It's not the best series ever. It's not the best series I've ever read, but I just absolutely love it to death. So we're going to start there, and it is Alpha Flight.
There you go.
Like, I guess I'm kind of semi-lying when I say that my first exposure to X-Men is the Brood storyline, because one could say that the Alpha Flight is just the Canadian X-Men. Really? I mean, they got their start in X-Men. They were part of the X-Men story. But John Byrne, when he first launched Alpha Flight, was just, I mean, it just blew my mind. I think it was in grade 10 when this came out. And it's like, okay, this is all about Canada. This is all about Canadian characters and Canadian locales and Canadian superheroes. And it just, I found my bookmark in my one trade paperback.
Where you left off?
Yeah, I'm not going to say where I was reading that, obviously. But, it's just like the whole idea of having Canadian characters in the Marvel Universe. And it was really, really good. You know, they even drew Pierre Elliott Trudeau in the first issue. I'm like, yeah, this is funny. So I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. You know, when did it get its start? It was, I want to say Uncanny X-Men 120, but that's wrong. When did Guardian / Vindicator first show up in X-Men? What was his first appearance?
I can see the cover, but I'd have to go look it up.
Yeah. Hello, Mike's DC.
Was it like issue like 128 or something? Does it? Like, I think it's ends in an 8 or a 9.
I feel like there's a whole bunch of people screaming and yelling right now at the screen. How can you get that wrong, you DC pile of crap? What are you doing? What are you up to? Uncanny X-Men 139, it says here, but that doesn't sound right.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
139? No.
Yeah.
No.
That's the first appearance.
Why was I thinking 120? Uncanny X-Men.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, we've known that. Yeah, see? Uncanny X-Men 139. No way. It's John Byrne, but it's got Kitty Pryde on the cover. And
oh, yeah, no.
That's not it. There's no way.
What's 138?
138 is Cyclops with the duffel bag on his shoulder.
Oh, he's leaving the X-Men.
It's him quitting. Yes. I love that I can immediately picture that.
I'll find it here in a second, but you know what? Oh, I see what it is. So they're saying that Vindicator, Heather Hudson, that was her first appearance as as a character, and then she became the Vindicator when her hubby passed away there. I'm still frantically clicking 124, 123, 122. Okay, so 121 is Alpha Flight. 120,
is that the like Chaos in Canada?
Yeah, 120 is Chaos in Canada, the first appearance of Alpha Flight, all of Alpha Flight. So that means that, and that's John Byrne. That means that Vindicator himself, was he not called Vindicator back then?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it got changed to Guardian, then got changed back to Vindicator. No, it was Guardian first, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
Oh God, I don't know. But he's got like a Wolverine type cover where he's sitting in the forest and he's like coming out. Reminds me of Wolverine's first appearance. There it is. Uncanny X-Men 109. Weapon Alpha. He was introduced as Weapon Alpha. So there's a big, Canadian costume with the maple leaf giving the old punch to the Wolverine and zappy blast to Cyclops in the background. And so now I need this comic. It's going to be $1 billion, isn't it?
He's on eBay.
It's going to be $1 billion.
No.
My comic shop.
Did you have this one before?
My comic shop. CGC 9.4, $1,295. Very good minus 3.5, $125. I think this was one of the X-Men issues I was missing because I was looking for a decent condition one in relatively nice condition and fairly inexpensively and stuff like this. And I think it was one of the ones that was on my wish list. $245.
So the thing then is if you buy it now, it'll be the first time you've owned it, not you rebuying it for the fourth time.
There's good logic,
right? Not that I'm saying you should buy it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever owned this issue. I think you're right. It looks like the cheapest I can get it for is $150. Because like Marvel prices are just it's a 3. It's a 3.0, not graded, raw. Like that's the problem is the prices on Marvel Comics right now, back issues is flipping-nomical. It's just way too high. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
Like this issue shouldn't cost $527.71 in graded 8.0. It just shouldn't.
No.
But again,
a 9.4, $1,441.74.
When was it published?
Oh, I don't know, 80s.
And it's not like they're unfortunately not huge popular characters, right?
Yeah, 1978.
So we're talking about a comic that's almost 45 years old, though.
Yeah,
that's true too.
Like, just the prices on some stuff.
X-Men run.
Just some of the prices on Marvel Comics 4 years ago compared to today. It's just astronomical. Like, take a look at your Ghost Rider. How much did you pay for the Ghost Rider?
$275.
And what was the last price you saw?
Yeah.
Because I know you're following the auctions.
I stopped following,
Okay, well, what was the last price?
Because I'm lazy, but like
you followed.
Just before I stopped following it, I don't know. It was hitting around 2,000.
Yeah.
On a semi-regular basis. So
and how many years is that?
And now I bought this. Funny story. I bought this for my 10th wedding anniversary as my gift for myself for $275. We've been broken up for more than 5 years, so I don't know what how the math works. Like
that's
it's about 6 years ago.
That's
6 to 7 years.
Like
over
COVID, I think maybe even a little bit before that, the price on Marvel Comics has just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason why the very first appearance of I don't know who, doesn't matter, Venom or his buddy Carnage. There's no reason on earth that those two books should sell more than the first appearance of Supergirl at the auction house. And it did. The one auction that I was following, I don't know, about 6 months ago. Like, absolutely, under no circumstances should Carnage.
The answer to that, though, is Marvel Zombies and movies.
That's exactly
There's no
what
good
it is.
super, like, it's the movie hype and Marvel Zombies just willing to pay whatever.
But it's nuts. It's freaking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. Like, this book here, like, granted, it's a nicer condition and stuff like this, but I saw it there for $1,200 and stuff like this. I paid $1,200 for my Justice League of America #1 from 1961 in 4.5, graded in a slab. It's the very first issue of Justice League of America. And my Green Lantern #1 4.5, it wasn't that much more than that either. And that's the first. I know it's not the first appearance of the Justice League because they were in Showcase, and it's the same thing. It's not the first appearance of Green Lantern because he was in Showcase as well. But I mean, Weapon Alpha, who nobody remembers. Alpha Flight is a dead property. Nobody recalls Alpha Flight. Nobody knows who the hell Alpha Flight is except us Canadians.
And they butchered the two main characters in the Wolverine movie.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's like, the same price as like a Justice League of America #1. Granted, sure, 4.5 versus a 9 or whatever it was. But I mean, 1961 comic book, like, holy crap. Holy fashnoogles. But I mean, this book is just like this book was just awesome. I just loved it to death. The characters and some of this, and it has the very infamous John Byrne issue where he decided I can't remember whether it was a deadline or what the case may be, but he did the entire issue. It's Snowbird, and it's page after page after page of nothing but white boxes because it happens during a snowstorm. And it just let the letterer go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5, 6. 6 pages of his comic book were just white.
Making comics on a budget.
There you
Jeff's
go.
Kiss. That was just awesome. Oh, I just loved it.
Who was it that did the Shield book when Nick Fury became an agent of Shield? Was it Jim Steranko?
Yeah, it was Steranko doing the art. Yeah,
because he was doing the art. Who was writing that? Because I remember seeing an art. I remember seeing an interview with this guy, and the writer was like, Stan Lee tried to not pay me for 7 pages of my issue because it was Nick Fury like sneaking around and doing things without dialogue. And he's like, this isn't writing. Where's the dialogue? Because it's all just writing the character. So this reminds me of the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Martin, you made me remember another. I don't know. You can't really call it a run because it's only 2 issues, but it was that X-Men Alpha Flight special.
Oh, that was awesome.
Where it had Loki in it, and
that was gold.
It was great. I don't know. Do you ever read that, Dan? The 2 issue.
So, confession: I've never read an Alpha Flight comic. Period.
Yeah. All right.
I have a run. I have actually 30 issues here still in my collection, even after I sold some of it off. But I've maybe read 1 issue, but I don't think I've actually even read 1 issue. I'll collect it, but I won't read it. Just so you know.
You're killing
me. Well, if you have a chance, there's a 2-issue X-Men Alpha Flight special. It's really, really good story.
I have it in trade paperback somewhere.
Yeah, I probably could do too.
Like a really old
versions,
really old trade paperback, but it was good. Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
Just to circle back there, Dan, it was Jim Steranko who wrote and penciled.
Okay.
So he did both. But
so Stan only wanted to pay him for one of those jobs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, should John Byrne have been paid for 6.5 pages of white that the letterer then lettered over top of, and he didn't even do anything?
Sure.
Anyways, but it was fun. So that's our first batch. We got 15 minutes left. Are we digging into the second set of runs?
I got a second set.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So my second set, I said that Grant Morrison's run on Batman is what got me back into comics, into collecting single issues and stuff. But what actually got me interested in even looking at single issues and even looking at comics in general was this here, Green Lantern Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And so Geoff Johns' run on Green Lantern, to me, is the chef's kiss of runs on a character. I think this is quite possibly some of the best, like, straight superhero writing in a comic book that I've ever read. I would say up to the end of Blackest Night, which was around issue 52. So he wrote about 52 issues that I think are all strong issues. After Blackest Night, when New 52 started, I think that the run kind of started to peter out a bit, and he left after, another 10 or 15 issues or 20 issues. But I think his 50 odd issues from Rebirth to the end of Blackest Night are some of the greatest superhero comic book writing that I have ever read. I can't tell you how many moments there are in these issues where I read something, Green Lantern does something just mind-bogglingly amazing, and I'm like, yes, that's amazing. Or, you know, like there's a lot of heart to it as well that I like, you know, like it's not, and Geoff, like very much like Grant Morrison. Okay, we've talked before. I remember we've talked before about how some writer will write a character, but they're not writing that character. They're just writing a story and putting that character's name on it because it's not that character. It's not, doesn't have anything, you know, you could substitute, you know, that character for any character because they haven't put anything actually into it. And Geoff Johns does the exact opposite. Like this, he's pulling out like tidbits of Green Lantern lore from 40 years ago to make into storylines and to bring characters back. You know, he reignited the core. You know, he really brought Green Lantern back to the forefront and made Hal Jordan somebody who, you know, I had never read a Hal Jordan Green Lantern comic book before. And then he immediately became my favorite superhero.
Yeah.
So
that was one of Geoff's talents, shall we say, is he had that love of some of the more historic DC runs from when he was a kid that he used to read and stuff.
Yeah.
So when it came time to his like Rebirth series of books, you know, he relaunched Flash, he relaunched Green Lantern. One could argue his JSA book is basically Justice Society Rebirth.
Absolutely.
It was like you said, a lot of callbacks to those traditional stories, a lot of bringing back what made those characters so good in the 70s and 80s. And guys like me just ate that stuff up. We just ate that stuff up. Like I'm a Wally West guy, not a Barry Allen guy, because way back in the day, I really didn't like Carmine Infantino's art. So the Flash was never a character that I was motivated to read his book. Loved the character in Justice League and stuff like this. Thought he was great. Loved the dynamic between him and Green Lantern, you know, being best friends and stuff like this. Just didn't like the book. So after Crisis on Infinite Earths, when of course he's the big huge you know, sacrifice in that and stuff like this. So Wally West picks up the mantle and stuff. I started reading his run. So I love Wally West, but Geoff Johns did a freaking bang up job with Flash Rebirth. You know, he really did. I have a little bit of resentment because they did Wally dirty. But
and have ever since.
Yeah, I mean, Wally's the main Flash now, sort of, kind of. Flash is the book that I read out of habit versus love. I just, every time I try to quit it, it just draws me back in, but not for good storytelling reasons. So yeah, I mean, the Geoff Johns is fantastic. So very, very good run in my opinion. I think you hit a home run there for sure.
Yeah, he did the JSA, right? The JSA run too.
And the JSA, is really good. Like I wasn't a JSA fan, but picked up some of that stuff because he did such a great job in Green Lantern. And of course it was phenomenal, you know?
And again, like one of his greatest storylines in the JSA is the Hawkman, the return of Hawkman. And he just goes ahead and he goes in there in the 70s and the 80s, pulls out all the great stuff out of Hawkman and all of his appearances in like, you know, his own book there for a little while, Shadow of the Hawkman, all his stuff in Justice League of America. He was like the gritty, I hate to say it, but the Republican of the Justice League of America, you know, very like not quite all the negative connotations that means nowadays, but he was the, you know, truth justice kind of guy but yeah, and he pulled all that out in that Return of Hawkman storyline in JSA, and it was like fantastic work. Yeah, like if somebody asked me, you know, hey, can you hand me a really good Hawkman or Green Lantern story? You know, first time reader, I'm giving them Green Lantern Rebirth, and I'm giving them that Return of Hawkman from JSA. Like those are just phenomenal. And then he did the same thing with Aquaman, you know, recently. Sometime in this.
Well, it was around the same time. Wasn't it? Was that the New 52? What launch of Aquaman?
Yeah.
That he did. Yeah. And I had picked some of that up, but my comic book buying habits are very fickle in that I just don't buy many comics, and so I had like the first few issues of Aquaman. I think those I gave them to my nephew because he was interested in reading them. But and I remember the art from those Aquaman New 52 issues was really good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I went all in New 52. I before New 52 Marvel, I was getting more Marvels than anything else. After New 50, like when New 52 came, I just dropped almost everything, all my other books, all the Image titles, everything, and just dove head into New 52 and dug it for a little while and until I didn't dig it anymore. But New 52 was good to me for a year or so. I do have a second one. This is actually, without a doubt, 100% the run of comic books that brought me the greatest amount of joy in my entire life. I would rush to get them every month. I would read them after grade 10 drafting class in high school. And I would laugh my absolute bum off out loud. I LOL'd before LOLing was LOLing. And that is the Bwahaha Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, Kevin Mcguire on art. Like, I don't know where Kevin Mcguire was before this book, but when this book came out, it's like this guy's facial expressions. Like 90% of the comedy in the book comes through in his facial expressions. It's just fantastic. It was, I can't quite recall Legends and Crisis on Infinite Earths, where exactly that all fits. I'm a little hazy there because the guys were introduced in, this team was introduced in Legends, but this is right about the time where John Byrne is rebooting Superman, right? So John Byrne's like, hands off, I get Superman for a little while to reestablish his continuity. George Perez had Wonder Woman, and again, same thing, hands off Wonder Woman, because I'm kind of doing my thing here and I want to reestablish and bring in all the Olympian gods and stuff like this. So they were kind of hamstrung with who they could put in the Justice League. They couldn't put any of their main characters, so to speak. So it's all second stringers, which I
Maybe
find
a couple of third stringers.
Yeah, a couple of third stringers, which I find, fantastic. Like, I've always loved Dr. Fate. I think the character is just spooky as all can get out. And I thought it was fantastic. Guy Gardner getting his due. He was a great character, introduced quite a while ago. I think he was introduced in the 60s, wasn't he, in Green Lantern?
Yeah, I think so.
Been around for a while, but never really kind of to the forefront. Martian Manhunter as the Superman stand-in. I was never a huge Martian Manhunter fan, but it's like, okay. Black Canary, love Black Canary, right? Mr. Miracle from the New Gods, love Mr. Miracle. But then it's like Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. Martian Manhunter eats Oreo cookies and he's constantly talking about Oreos. Shazam is playing up the fact that he's 8 years old all the time and he's naive. Guy Gardner's just like an absolute
jerk.
Yeah. I was going to use a stronger word. Right up until boom. The punch. The one punch in all of comic books that I literally sat there and went, oh my goodness. Batman just nails him right in the face because he's being all lippy and mouthy over who's going to be in charge. And Black Canary comes in and she's like, what happened? And everyone's like, he punched him. And Black Canary, you could just see she's viscerally shaken that she missed it.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to see Guy Gardner get socked in the mouth so bad that panel where she misses the punch is just classic. It's just, the whole book was just funny as heck until it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of died off and they went back to a more traditional superhero storytelling towards the end of this run. But the whole thing was fantastic. And Kevin Mcguire, I love him as an artist. I think he's fantastic. He gets replaced by Mike, I want to say McCone, but it could be just Cone. I'm a little fuzzy there because I'm old. He did a really good job. And then Adam Hughes. Adam Hughes takes over the art. And the stories are just as funny because it's still Keith Giffen and it's still DeMatteis doing the stories. Terry Austin doing the inks on all this stuff. It's just fantastic. The Kui Kui, Island of Kui Kui. Come on. Come on. This was everything that comics is supposed to be. Funny, lighthearted, action, adventure. If you don't have it, go get it. Go get it. This is gold. This is DC Comics gold. This is absolutely hilarious. I just can't gush enough about it.
How many issues was it?
Gosh, that's a trick question. I'm gonna say they switched gears, I think issue 60-ish. And somebody else came over and took over as the writing team there, and it became more of a traditional comic book, more traditional superhero comic book. I should know who did that. But I think it was around issue 60.
That's still a sizable run.
Yeah, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And it had a spin-off book, Justice League Europe. This Justice League book became Justice League America. The Justice League Europe was just as good. Hilarious. Metamorpho was in it and stuff like this. And that was drawn mostly by Sears. Oh, gosh. I want to say Bart Sears. Bart Sears. Oh, my gosh. Age is not good. But that was fantastic art, too. It was hilarious, too. Just Blue Beetle and Booster Gold tripping over their head over heels over what was her name, Yvette, the embassy liaison that they thought was cute as all heck, and it's just funny stuff. Power Girl ended up in here at one time. Dr. Light's on the cover of number 1, but she didn't stick around for very long. She was just in the initial storyline. But this is just gold, just comedy gold. Honestly, if you haven't read it, pick it up. Pick it up.
Available now for $9.99 at martinberta.com.
Well, there is a there is an omnibus of this series. Number 1 is hard to find. Number 2 still out there. Number 1 is a little bit pricey. There's some hardcovers and there's some soft covers. I have the one soft cover set and the omnibuses. Same thing with Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight is in a trade paperback, but it's $1 billion. It's $1 billion. The last time I looked at it, I think it was $400 US for a copy because it's out of print. And I do accidentally have 2 copies. I don't know why. So if I ever decide to give eBay my bank account information like they want nowadays, then maybe I'll sell it on eBay or something. Get rid of that 1 copy since it's hot.
Pretty sure you can probably just buy the single issues for less than that.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty steep, but yeah, I mean, it's a seminal run, hard to find. Guys my age and stuff, we want the bookshelf with everything on the bookshelf all nice and neat, hardcover, lawyery, looking like a professional office instead of a bedroom full of short boxes.
Hey, that's my room.
Yeah, really, eh? I am not turning off the green screen.
No.
Anyways, that's the show for this week. We've burned through all our time there. Sorry, Chris. I think I may have eaten up your second one, but maybe catch that on another episode. As always, heykidscomics.ca. Hit us up there. youtube.heykidscomics.ca to see video shenanigans of us doing silly things like drinking coffee and having green screen failures. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy.
You have been listening to the Hey Kids Comics Radio Show broadcast through the facilities of Trent Radio on 92.7 CFFF-FM in Peterborough, Ontario, and available as a downloadable podcast at www.heykidscomics.ca and at www.firstcomicsnews.com. Promotional consideration for the show was provided by no one. Are you kidding me? We couldn't get advertisers if we tried. Wardrobe for our hosts was provided by Joe Nerds in Whitby, Ontario. They don't know that fact, but that is where we get 90% of our clothes from. No animals were harmed in the making of this radio show. Marty tried, but allergies won't let him get too close to Sam's cats. The views and opinions expressed by Sam are solely his own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the rest of the hosts, as we all like the Walking Dead TV show. The Hey Kids Comics radio show is a Quinn Martin production and copyright Hey Kids Comico. Rebroadcasting in part or in whole of this show is forbidden, but really, who would want to anyway?
Level check for Eugene Levy CFFF promo. Take 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Good level?
Yep.
Bobby Bittman here. I always listen to Trent Radio 92.7. I love this guy, really do.
You do one more of those?
Sure. What was wrong with that one?
Nothing. I just was, the level was a little high.
Okay. Hi, this is Bobby Bittman. When I'm in the Kawarthas, I listen to Trent Radio 92.7 FM.